Hi everyone, so today we're going to be discussing the different regions of the spine. Specifically, what are the differentiating characteristics of the cervical, thoracic, and lumbar vertebrae. So by the end of this video, I hope that this helps in determining how to determine which of these structures are different, and stay tuned to the little pop quiz at the end of the video. All right, so we're going to be starting with cervical characteristics of the spine. Okay, so here we are in the cervical region, and what we are viewing here is the atlas and the axis. So I remember being in anatomy and we were looking at the cervical region of the spine. I remember that the ones that stood out the most, that they were the most interested in, was the atlas and axis, because once you get past these two, the rest of the cervical spine from C3 to C7 are very much similar. They're kind of like Legos stacked upon each other. And I will show you once we get past atlas and axis. Okay, so what are some distinguishing characteristics of the atlas? Well, for one, we notice that there are these very large facets where the occipital condyles will sit. I have them here shaded in, well, highlighted in color green. And this is also what's called the atlanto-occipital joint, and this allows you to shake your head yes. And what else we notice is that there is no spinous process on the atlas. Okay, so moving on to the axis here, is that we notice right off the bat we have the dents, and it's this thing pointing out like that. And then on this anterior view, it's this guy here. So that is the main distinguishing characteristics of what makes up the atlas. We also notice that this does have a spinous process. And then the rest of the cervical vertebra may have a bifid right here, which looks like a little fishtail. And now we're starting to get a little tiny body here. And then seeing them all stacked together, it looks like this. So we see that the dens articulates here with the atlas there. And in this articulation, we see that this allows the head to pivot to be able to shake no. And we notice is that the atlas does not have a vertebral body. There's kind of like a gap between there. And then we see a little bifid there, and it goes down and extends, and then we see that it starts to take the shape of our typical spinous process. Okay, and moving on to the thoracic region. And also you might be wondering, oh, this looks like a textbook. Well, that's because it is. And I find that usually the typical student is going to be using a textbook. So I think this is what's going to be familiar to most people when they're looking at images like these. Okay, so in the thoracic region, we notice that the spinous process is lengthening. The vertebral body is getting a little bit bigger, but the characteristic that's really going to separate this from the others are the demifacets that we see here, shading them in green along there. Why? Because only in the thoracic region are we going to see articulation of the ribs. So this is where the ribs are going to be articulating. And then moving on to the lumbar region. Okay, so in the lumbar region, we notice is that these vertebrae are going to be getting much larger. The body is ginormous in comparison to the thoracic and cervical region. The spinous process is also a little thicker. It's not as skinny as in the thoracic region, but also there's more exaggeration of the superior articular processes here and the inferior articular process there. Okay, so these are the distinguishing features that I find are helpful in separating as to in which region you are. So now we're going to be heading towards the pop quiz. All right, welcome to the quiz portion of the video to see how well learning these characteristics you were able to get. All right, so can you guess what is in the first image? All right, if you guessed that this is the axis, you are correct. Why? Because it has that dens for one, and then we have that little spinous process. Thing is, sometimes you'll see a bifid and sometimes you won't. I mean, with a skeletal structure, it really depends on the person. Sometimes you get anomalies, but the main thing is the dens is going to be your main characteristic here. All right. Can you guess this one? And if you guessed this is part of the lumbar region, you are correct, because one, the body is ginormous, the spinous process is exaggerated, we have an exaggerated superior articular facet here. All right, can you guess this one? And if you said atlas, you are correct, because for one, the main feature here are these really large facets for where the occipital condyles will sit upon. And another characteristic feature is that there is no spinous process here. All right, and for the last one. And if you said that this is part of the thoracic region, you are correct. Why? Because the demifacets here in the lateral view is a giveaway, because only in the thoracic region is where you'll find these, because this is where ribs will articulate here. All right, hope this video helps. Thanks for watching.